Here we are. Hey guys, I hope you can see me, and I'm not going to take a long time to chat with you, but I did want to share with you a few changes that have happened. I promised I would do this last night. Last Friday, on March 27th, the VA issued some new guidance on VA appraisals. This is important and it's helpful. The first thing I also want to say, by the way, I'm touching my face. How about that? Shouldn't be doing that. But I wanted to share with you some changes and updates that coronavirus has caused the VA to implement. And these changes went effective last Friday, and they're in place until we get through this mess. Of course, we've all been watching any number of news feeds and internet feeds and watching all of the curve models and all of that nonsense. It's not nonsense, it's really true. But to the point of social distancing. So on March 13th, we all know that the White House put out some, with the CDC, put out some social distancing guidelines, and to keep the public and appraisers safe from contracting or spreading the coronavirus. Excuse me, I got itchy all over today. And to keep everybody safe, the VA put out some guidelines on what a VA appraisal is going to look like. Now, I don't know if the appraisal industry at large has adopted these, because these guidelines just came out Friday from the VA. USPAP, the Uniform Standard Professional Appraisers, they'll probably come out with something that will be very similar to these guidelines. But remember, an appraisal is an opinion of value, and that's and typically, as we know appraisals to take place, the appraiser actually will go to the house, measure the house, take pictures of the exterior, pictures up and down the street. All of that's going to stay the same. But what's changed is that the appraisers are no longer required to go inside the house if the house is occupied. And this is for the safety of both the occupants and the appraisers. Now, they're still going to have to meet the state requirements for delivering an appraisal that meets the qualifications of USPAP. However, considering the health and safety of veterans and VA appraisers, this distancing, this not going into the house, is going to be part of the process. Now, on the appraisal form, there's a place where there's for a map reference. Well, what the guidance does now is it requires the appraiser to make a statement as to whether or not they did an exterior only appraisal, and they can also do a desktop appraisal. Now, these are changes that are specific to the VA appraisal at this time. And this is really, really an important piece to understand. Now, a reason I wanted to jump on and do this Facebook Live was because I wanted you all to understand that this is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, last April, the VA added some additional guidelines to appraisers to suggest to the appraiser that the appraisers not get so nitpicky about appraising VA properties. There's something called the minimum property requirements. We call them MPRs. And many of us have experienced a situation where the appraiser might pick at things such as chip paint or chipped wood or things like that. The new actual, I'm going to read this to you, the actual new guidance to the appraiser is: the appraiser should not recommend repairs of cosmetic items involving minor or deferred maintenance, normal wear and tear, or items that are inconsequential in relation to the overall condition of the property. Now, this is specific from the VA to the appraiser. This guidance came out last April. Now, while minor repairs should be recommended, the appraiser should consider these, should not be recommended. While minor repairs should not be recommended, the appraiser should still consider the items and the overall condition when evaluating the property. But this is really important because I was concerned that if our realtors and our lenders began to feel that these guidances of not going into a house might be an impediment to an appraiser being able to truly give a good assessment value of the property, that this would just add more problems. Well, actually, the guidance that they got last Friday actually instructs the appraiser to be more engaged with the agent and the MLS, and actually ask for commentary, for photos, for documentation. This is really a big plus for everybody. So keep in mind, everybody, don't get your knickers in a bunch over this. Appraisers are not going to be going into homes that are occupied for safety reasons. The guidance says it will stay in place until until further notice, and of course that further notice is whenever America is on the downhill side of this curve that we've all seen on television. And as we've seen that curve, in a perfect world, we should see that curve start to peak and then start to come down sometime in the mid to late summer. And then depending on how we, the American people, manage this social distancing thing, that'll define how far out this coronavirus mitigation is going to take place. But for now, the most important thing that you need to know is don't get all excited about the fact that an appraiser is not going to go into your home and look at all the wonderful things you've done to it. Now, arguably, there may be some homes that you would never want an appraiser to go inside. This is not an opportunity for you to puff the appraiser. In other words, blow up and make the house look like a mansion to him. You need to be honest because keep in mind this also. It is a 6-degree felony. A 6 degree? It's a felony. I don't remember what degree. It's a felony to influence an appraiser to swing one way or the other in the value of a property. In other words, you can't say, well, listen, John the appraiser, my folks just painted the interior, and that should add a good $5,000. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can say they painted the interior, but you can't give them dollar values. You can't do that. You can't say, well, that should make the property appraised for another so many thousands of dollars. You can't do that. And likewise, if you're on the other side of the transaction, they got some a dog gnawed at the door jambs, and that's probably worth a downtick of so many hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. You can't do that either. You cannot try to influence the appraiser with a figure on an appraisal. That's a felony, and that'll put you in the hooskow. So don't do that. I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to let you know this guidance came out. Just those of you that are in the industry, it's VA Circular 26-20-11. It came out last Friday, March 27th, I'm sorry. And it gives very specific guidelines. If anybody that's watching this or watching the rerun would like a copy of this particular VA Circle, just private message me. Give me your email address and I will shoot you a copy of this. You can also Google it. You can Google the circular number of VA Circular 26-20-11. You can get it that way as well, but I'm happy to send it to you if you don't want to fuss around with Googling it and trying to get and maybe end up with the wrong document. Again, great things, good things for the appraisal. Oh, one more thing. We posted something on Facebook just a little while ago about one of our buyers who's closing on a property on their brand new home. It's a spec home, and the our VA buyer is using a VA component of a down payment / closing cost assistance program. It's called Home Plus. And we got the rate lock today to give you an idea of why looking at and working with VA buyers is so powerful. First of all, VA buyers are the most stable buyers in the platform. The VA home loan has the lowest default rates of any loan out there: conventional loan, FHA loan, USDA loan, IDA bond loans. The VA loan, even back in the Great Recession, performed better, had fewer defaults, fewer people going into foreclosure than any other loan product out there. I've made some comments about why I think that is. You can look them up on Facebook. But the point is, we are closing on a property. Our buyer today got a rate lock of 3.25%, 3.25%, and this particular buyer, wasn't making $1 million. They're buying a nice home, but they're not in that mega personality group. They're great people. I love them. They're super people. But my point being that the VA home loan product, using the down payment assistance, or we actually used it for closing cost assistance, the Home Plus provided 3% of the purchase price, which he was able to use towards his closing costs. As a matter of fact, it paid for pretty much all of his closing costs. So he's a disabled veteran. He's using his VA loan and the Home Plus program. Any of you lenders and realtors that haven't looked into this, that loan is forgiven in 3 years, 36 months, totally gone. So great way for you sellers that are looking for ways to maybe improve the traffic in your homes, given the fact that we've got very little traffic going right now. You should be talking to your agents about, itchy nose, you should be talking to your listing agents about asking them to really, really lean in and promote a scary proposition. Is probably the most solid, sound position you could find right now. VA buyers are solid buyers. Jenny Mae, who buys these loans, has not stopped buying VA loans. They're a little skittish over FHA loans and a little skittish over USDA, and I'm not sure what they're doing with IDA. But the point being, your VA loan, your VA buyer, and that's a home run for you. So you really need to be thinking really, really strong about this. Many of you know that I'm the Arizona, I was the Arizona State Director. I'm the National Legislative Committee Director for VAREP, the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. My wife, Lori, and I, we've been doing this real estate thing for well over 3 decades, 32 years by last count. So we've got a little time in grade. We know what we're doing, and we're a great source and resource for you if you've got questions about the VA loan, about the VA product, about the VA process. We've got a great network of lenders that we work with all across the valley. All of them very competitive in their rates. Every personality fits a different personality, so that's why we have many, many friends in the lending business. But if you're looking to get started on understanding your VA eligibility, reach out to us. We're happy to help with that. But more importantly, today was all about, I really, really, really wanted to make sure that my real estate friends, my lender friends, didn't get all spun up in a knot over the fact that VA appraisers, for the time being, are not going to be going into homes that are occupied. They're going to be doing exterior and sometimes desktop appraisals. That gives you, the seller, an opportunity to tell your listing agent, hey, here's all this wonderful stuff about my house. Make sure you get this to the appraiser. And one last thing, for all of you who have property inventory, and when you engage a VA buyer, you have a right, you actually have an obligation, but you have a right to ask the lender to make sure that you, the real estate agent, both the buying side and the selling side, to make sure you are put on the Weebly form. It's a form that the lender uses to order the VA appraisal. You can tell the lender, I want to be named as a participant in this transaction. You're entitled to, you owe it to your client, both buyer and seller side, because that's also going to give you all of the contact information of the appraiser. Right now, it's even more important. The fact that the appraiser may not be going into the house, well, won't go into the house if it's not vacant. If it's occupied, he's not going to go into the house. You need to know who he or she is. You need to know his or her cell number, his or her email address, so that you can get very important information about your property to him or her. So it's really important you need to do this. These are things that you need to do as a real estate professional who understands very clearly the benefits of the VA buying power of the veteran, the VA purchasing power in the sense of financing. You need to understand that stuff, and you need to reach out to your lender and tell them that you want to be added to the authorized person point of contact for the appraiser. There's a lot of other reasons down the road that you'd want to do that, but right now, in this circumstance, you definitely want to have that done. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you got a little bit out of this. Don't get all spun up about the new VA circular 26-20-11. It's a great opportunity for us to really show our skills to both the buyer and the seller of real estate. And again, for you sellers who are looking for buyers for your home, this is a great time for you to ask your real estate agent, hey, make sure that you're promoting my property to the military so that they can have an opportunity to take a look at my home. Hope you had a great, a good time listening to this information. If there's anything else that I can do, if you have any questions, please private message me or my wife. Right here on Facebook. You can also tweet me at G2Realtor. You can tweet my wife at Lori Clindera, or you can find us on Instagram at the same handles. Have a great day. Enjoy the weekend, and stay safe, stay healthy, social distance. I'm not really sure about the masks yet, but certainly stay safe, stay healthy, and stay socially distant. Thanks again. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.